It says streaming live.
Well, I definitely don't feel like that should be red.
I don't feel like anything is anything.
Goonland Productions presents the Omega Cast with your host, J.P. Whitman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 15. We finally talk about WWE again. This is your host, J.P. Whitman, with my trusted companion,
John Kearns, what's going on, people?
and we are live. We did it ourselves. That's right, John. We did it ourselves. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm doing just fine, and I am excited to run down some predictions with you here this evening, or afternoon, as it were. We're going to be talking about a little bit of NXT Takeover Chicago. We're going to be talking Money in the Bank. We got some news going on, and we're going to give a little review of the Season 4 opener of Lucha Underground.
Yes, but before we get into all of that, we will be talking some news, some tidbits of news, and we're going to delve into some news. So, first up on the docket today is going to be, let's see, Io Shirai. She is a Stardom wrestler. She has been highly regarded as one of the greatest female wrestlers of our time. She and Kari Hojo, aka Kari Sane, came over to the WWE to try out, and it was more of a mutual tryout to see if they liked it as much as the WWE liked them. So recently, it has been said that Io Shirai has decided to go to the WWE. She couldn't at first because she had a medical condition that has now been cleared. Apparently, she decided to go to try out WWE again because she attended a live event at Sumo Hall in Tokyo on June 30th. 2017, and during the show a video played, and it was Kari Sane saying hello to the live fans. In Stardom, Shirai and Kari were the top two stars in the group, but Shirai was the ace and Hojo was the clear number 2. According to someone close to her, she was somewhat devastated watching it. She wasn't expecting the moment to hit her so hard as she saw it and started thinking that should have been her. She was very hurt emotionally by the moment and became completely focused to do whatever it would take to prove that she was the wrestler who should have been on the video. It's expected that if she passes the medicals, she will start in Orlando on or around July 16th, which is the same time frame as several other named wrestlers, including Keith Lee, who will start. This all comes from The Observer, so take it as you will, but I'm pretty excited because I've been a fan of Io for a long time, and I love Kari, and I even love Mayu Iwatani, and those three are the Stardom 3. So looking forward to seeing her in WWE and seeing what the WWE can do for her. Some other little tidbits here. Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden has been feeling left out by the WWE because the WWE doesn't want to pay what the MSG has been charging. I believe a year or two or so ago they changed the fees and the rights to shoot there and everything, and that's why we only get live events there. And ROH, MSG is allowing other wrestling companies to run the building, apparently. And ROH has a tentative date for 2019. The plan is to run on the Saturday before WrestleMania. And
congratulations.
There's also AAA has a tentative date in 2019. But right now, WWE is doing everything they possibly can to stop this from happening. But, you know, it's always what's best for business, right, John?
Yep. And to be honest, what's best for business would unfortunately be banning people from running Madison Square Garden. But they're obviously not going to do that, which is very cool to see. Maybe we're finally starting to see.
You can't ban people from another company's thing. And if you're not giving them the top tier wrestling product and you're going to the Barclays Center every summer, well, what do you expect? You know, you don't want to put the money in even though you're the top dog, then they're going to start looking elsewhere.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what needs to happen and what would light a fire under the hind end of one Mr. McMahon would be New Japan Pro Wrestling getting a show at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff with Madison Square Garden started because of the excitement surrounding the All In show in September. I think if ROH runs Bucks, so I don't know if they're going to get the same type of, crowd appeal, no matter what the company is who's going to be running MSG. But yeah, I think it's very interesting, and I wonder if Vince McMahon will get his way, because back in the day, WCW tried to do the same thing, but back in the day, the WWE ran MSG all the time.
Yeah.
So some tidbits here before we get into the meat of the news. Let's see here. There are rumblings about WWE opening communications with New Japan talent and those working All In. Rey Mysterio is still on that list. It is going to be a very interesting next several months, says Uncle Dave. Ellsworth is pretty much confirmed for Money in the Bank, as he pulled out from his indie bookings, and there's been rumors of him coming back. One of the authors of Pain had a visa issue, which is why they disappeared, but it has been sorted out. They are waiting for the right time to bring them back so they don't end up like the Ascension, which is great. I've been wondering where the authors of Pain have been, and that makes complete sense. This week, Jericho came out and said that he will not be at the Cow Palace. He will not do any New Japan shows in America because he doesn't want to betray Vince. And he also said that you're not going to see him. Well, that's what he said in court.
Well, he's a liar.
He lied on the stand. He said that his name means chick magnet punk.
I thought. See, I always thought that the CM stood for Chicago Made. Isn't that what he used to say?
A lot of people said Chicago Made. A lot of people said chick magnet. A lot of people said Charles Manson.
Charles Manson punk.
I think that came a lot whenever.
Is that his first and middle name?
Whenever he came, he did the Straight Edge Society.
Yeah.
But you know, he always kind of left it to whatever anyone thought. So, CM Punk leaves wrestling with the wife that he found in wrestling, leaving behind so many friends in the wrestling business at a late age, and decides to get into MMA. His first fight, he got whooped quick. They waited like 2 years to have his second fight in his hometown, and it went all 3 rounds, but it could have ended easily in the beginning of the second round. Now, Dana White has said that CM Punk is pretty much done. They had a 3-fight deal, but they only had to give him 2, so they timed it out so that Punk is, in his hometown, and they had him face a guy who also lost to Mickey Gall. Watching this match was very disappointing. It looked like CM Punk has been wasting his time, money, and effort. But hey, you're passionate about something, great. I'm happy for you. So I'm going to give you my exact thoughts, John, and then I want to hear your rebuttal. I actually had to write this out because I didn't want any of my thoughts going to waste. I respect that a man follows his passion. I respect everything CM Punk gave to wrestling. What I don't respect are the things I personally don't understand. How do you hate an entire industry where you met your wife? How do you close out your friends, your best friend, after leaving WWE? The man is an enigma. I'm only a guy who watches wrestling and reads news and rumors. The whole Corey Graves Twitter rant, I don't think it was a bad move. Corey Graves still has his job. Obviously, WWE didn't get upset. I think Graves is being the voice of a lot of people. On Busted Open Radio this week, Bubba Ray Dudley asked Colt Cabana about his relationship with Punk after their win against Dr. Amen, which was earlier last week. And it was like pulling teeth till Colt Cabana said, we're friends. So it wasn't emphatic, oh yeah, we're still friends. He kind of didn't know how to answer that. I don't understand how a human being could treat those that were close to them like that. He has been on record saying he's never coming back to wrestling, he doesn't like wrestling, etc. Well then why the fuck is it so easy for you to set up a meet and greet at 1 Hour Tees the weekend of All In? Why are you still okay making money with your Pro Wrestling Tees store? You got money. We all know you got a lot of money from WWE and UFC. So why? I just don't understand. People who talk about CM Punk coming back to the WWE. CM Punk should never come back to WWE because they'll exploit his losses in UFC. If he went to New Japan or anywhere else, they'd mention he has MMA background, a la respecting him. If he doesn't do anything in the ring, or at least get on the mic in the ring, at All In, I personally am done as a diehard fan of CM Punk. I will respect him for what he contributed to ROH and to IWA, Mid-South, and WWE, but that's about as far as I'll go. It all depends on what he does, because if you continually make money off of people who loved you for what you did, but you slam what you did constantly, and you cut out relationships from your previous profession, I totally do not understand you. I can't get behind it, and I won't get behind it.
All right. The first thing that I would like to know is when exactly CM Punk said that he hates wrestling.
It was probably right after.
When did he say it? Did he say he hates wrestling, or did he say he hates WWE?
I'm pretty sure he said he hates wrestling.
See, I don't remember it that way, but if that's what he said, that's what he said.
You'd have to pull up
Now,
a lot of resources.
could the problem be that every time he's in an interview, he gets badgered with the "when are you going back to WWE" question?
That's probably part of it. It's also probably like his wife has issues mentally. Like she has social anxieties, and she wrote a book, about her bipolarness or whatever. And I believe he said in a recent interview that it rubs off on him. So it like maybe after leaving WWE and then finding ground in UFC and in Marvel Comics and being with his wife, the guy, while he was in the WWE, he slept around a lot. He said the whole straight edge thing, but real straight edge people also are very into the whole celibacy thing until you find someone. But, he got around. But he found AJ. He got sick. He left. Now they're together. It seems like Punk's kind of a recluse. And, I respect that he has integrity, that he has personal integrity. Like, if you don't want to do something and you lost the passion to do it, that's fine. But why are you still making money off of people who are frothing at the mouth for you to do something for them?
He's going to be there because the people want him to be there. If nobody wanted him around, he wouldn't fucking do it.
But they only want him around for the possibility of him doing something again.
Then they need to wake up.
Correct.
If I was Punk, I would just keep writing Marvel Comics and make Marvel money. Because from what I read of the stuff that he wrote, he's good at that.
I'm sure he's a very talented guy. I mean, you could tell by his promos and everything, it's probably easy for him to write something like that. And he's a nerd because whenever he was in WWE, he showed on Instagram all the time. Every time he was on a flight, he was reading graphic novels and shit. It's not like I hate the guy because I don't know the guy. It's just the situation is very confusing. He's an enigmatic personality. I don't understand how you treat people who are close to you the way you have. Maybe I understand having to change up your life. Like, when I decided to get sober, I could have easily dropped all of my friends. But there's some people who aren't bad influences, and it's like, okay, so you drop a Zack Ryder, you drop a this, you drop a that, like an acquaintance. But fucking Colt Cabana, Kofi Kingston, Chris Jericho, who even said on his podcast whenever he talked to Edge about it, like, Punk won't return any of my calls. It's just confusing to me. I don't get it. And I probably never will, because I'll never meet the guy probably. And, who cares? So
the thing that sucks about it is that we have no way to prove anything that anybody says. Like we don't even know if the people that are saying he never returned my calls even tried calling him. That's the part that sucks about this. Like, we have no way of knowing this.
I don't think Corey Graves would go out there publicly and say all that stuff if he didn't.
Well, no, Corey, as far as I can tell, is a very stand-up guy. And I feel like Corey would be one of the ones who would try to reach out and just figure out what's going on with Punk. And maybe maybe this is what Punk needs. Maybe he needs a friend from long ago to reach out to him and find out what's going on. Like, whenever we talk about CM Punk, and I love the guy and always have and probably always will, but whenever we talk about this guy, I feel like he displays all the telltale signs of a manic depressive personality.
I can totally agree with that, for sure.
Like, maybe people need to reach out to Punk and just see what's going on with him. Because unfortunately,
on that note, that's a good note. Let's end that news segment right there. I like that, John.
And obviously, I don't want to act like I know what his relationship is with her and everything, but
no, I'm sure it's lovely, but she has those issues, and it could, if he had any inkling of those issues within himself, it could bring it out of him. It could rub off on you, especially when you're closed off to the world, man. You know, it's how it is. So that's some good insight, man. I like that. You know, after the news, we get into the reviews. So this week, finally, the temple has come back to
it's a new temple.
El Rey Network. Yes, we got to see the new temple and the new promoter. The show started off with the agent. We see what happened last year, in which the agent shot Dario for giving up the gauntlet to Cage. Cage wasn't the right guy to have it. Now it's in Mill's hands. He can't trust him.
Last we saw it's in King Cuerno's hands.
Right.
Or right. King Cuerno, is that his name?
King Cuerno.
King Cuerno.
Rio del Fantasma.
Yeah.
So basically, they were upset about that because there's a lot of Lucha Underground is like Pro Wrestling Society X meets Mortal Kombat meets a Robert Rodriguez movie, and if you don't get into it and you don't follow it, it's really hard to start understanding the backstories. It's easy to watch the wrestling. It's hard to understand the cinematic sequences. So Dario, for all we know, is dead, and we see his funeral, which only his father, who looks like Dr. Wily, and it's obviously the same actor.
Who looks an awful lot like Dario Cueto, honestly.
Yeah, he's definitely the same actor, and the agent says, the dad says, well, we Cuetos have always been good at making enemies, and so he has like an ice box. What did he call it?
It's an ice house.
An ice house, because they couldn't use Boyle Heights because of the hit and all the stuff going into that. And before the segment ends, the agent reminds him that the promotion is a front for what they're really trying to accomplish, and it all has to do with Aztec gods and, you know, black magic and stuff like that. If you don't know the backstory, I can't give you the whole backstory because I've watched it live. You know what I mean? So it was a nice refresher to see what happened last year. So we get into the new temple, and it looks a lot. It resembles the old temple a lot. We get Matt Striker, we get Vampiro, who has grown out his hair. Neat, whatever, and we're going to get a 10-bell salute for the death of the passing of Dario Cueto, and during it, we got to see some of the fans like fake cry and everything, which is hilarious because if you're not familiar with Lucha Underground, Dario Cueto was a bastard. He was a straight up bastard. So the 10-bell salute gets interrupted by Antonio Cueto, a.k.a. his father. And he hits the picture of his son with his cane, and he's saying that his Dario was the worthless son. That's why the gods bestowed everything onto Matanza, and that even though Dario said that he came up with the idea, tonight we're going to have Pentagon defend his title in Aztec Warfare 4. And Aztec Warfare is a lot like a Royal Rumble, but you could get pinned and submitted. So it's not just over the top rope.
I don't think over the top rope's part of it at all. I don't think so. No.
No?
No, because they were in and out of the ring all over the
Yeah, but it's Lucha. They could have been going under or in the middle. I don't remember everything. But John, go ahead. Tell us about this match.
So the Aztec Warfare was a very cool match. We got a lot of cool stuff.
So it starts off with my bad. It starts off with the Trios champions in the ring, Willie Mack, or The Mac, in Lucha Underground, and Killshot, who is played by Shane Strickland. And their partner, Dante Fox, a.k.a. AR Fox, is there. And Antonio Cueto says, you two are starting off the match, and since your partner isn't here, whoever comes out third is your new partner. And that was the King of the Road, Son of Havoc, who is played by Matt Cross. So those were the three to start the match off. I believe
Number
4 was Joey Ryan. Yeah, go ahead, John. Take this over.
Yeah, so number 4 was famous Dick wrestler Joey Ryan, who it was amazing to me because I thought, isn't he dead?
Wait a second. While we're talking about Lucha Underground, mark out moment. Martin Casas, or I don't know how do you say his name, Marty the Moth, followed me on Instagram. I decided to message him, and I said, "Hey Marty, so glad you have found success after being the front runner on Tough Enough until the injury. Thanks for the follow." He replied to me. He said, "Thank you." And that is the beginning of something special, hopefully. But let's get back to what John has to tell you.
So, yeah. So, number 4 was Joey Ryan, famous Dick wrestler, literal ghost, if you follow Being the Elite. If you follow Being the Elite. Number 5 was Mr. Pectacular.
Who in Impact and
TNA
is Jesse Goddard's. He was part of the Bromans with Robbie E.
Okay, that's interesting. So the number 6 entrant was current Lucha Underground champion Pentagon Dark, who's Pentagon Jr. obviously, and Pentagon El Cero Miedo. Number 7 was the Innovator of Violence, Tommy Dreamer. Number 8 was Mariposa, who is the sister of Marty the Moth Martinez.
No, it should be said that Tommy Dreamer has never showed up in Lucha Underground before.
Yeah, so this was Tommy Dreamer's first showing in Lucha Underground, which was really cool.
And Mariposa is played by indie starlet cheerleader Melissa.
Huh, interesting. I didn't know that. Number 9 was Vinny Massaro, who came to the ring with an entire pizza, got DDT'd onto said pizza, and pinned immediately. Number 10 was Hernandez of LAX fame. if you remember the olden TNA days with Conan, Homicide, and Hernandez. Number 11 was Johnny Mundo / John Morrison / Johnny Impact / Boone the Bounty Hunter. Number 12 was Ricky Mundo, who is like a protege to Johnny Mundo, but looks more like a stalker of Johnny Mundo.
Yeah.
Number 13 was Phoenix, who is the brother of Pentagon Jr., but they don't really talk about that on Lucha Underground.
No. It's not part of the storyline
Yeah.
at all.
Number 14 was Jeremiah Crane, who is played by Sami Callihan, also known as Solomon Crow to you NXT nerds. Number 15 was Mil Muertes, who I found out is Judas Macias. Also another old TNA name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know who that is.
He's a guy, he used to fight Abyss a lot. He was like, Father James
Mitchell.
Yeah, Father James Mitchell said that he was Abyss's brother and shit like that. Number 16 was Daga, who I didn't know.
He's a luchador.
Luchador guy. Number 17, really cool, was Chavo Guerrero Jr.
So Ray Horace on the Indies.
Ray Horace on the Indies. And number 20 was Marty the Moth Martinez.
Now, I would like to just get down to the last four, because the commentary did a really good job at the last four. The last four remaining in the ring was Pentagon Dark, Marty the Moth Martinez, King Cuerno, and Chavo Guerrero Jr. And Matt Stryker
and Chavo Guerrero Jr. Somebody has knocked on the door. He'll be back in a second. Okay.
Matt Stryker did a great job, and he asked Vampiro. He said, "Who's the best wrestler?" And Vampiro went, "Chavo." He said, "Who's the best fighter?" He said, "Pentagon." And then he said, "Who wants it the most?" King Cuerno. And I was like, that was awesome, because it was like fired off. Vampiro knew exactly what to say. We got, I think Chavo was eliminated first. Or no. Yeah. First, what happened was Chavo was going to do something. Cuerno kicked him off the top, then did a frog splash and eliminated who? He eliminated someone else.
I don't remember.
Well, he eliminated someone with the frog splash as a FU to Chavo. And when it came down to the last four, we got Chavo Guerrero was taken out by
Pentagon.
Yeah, Chavo. King Cuerno was taken out by Chavo, and Chavo was taken out by Pentagon, and Marty was taken out by Pentagon, who I believe he also broke Marty's arm. Mm-hmm. And then what happened after the match, John? Didn't Antonio come out?
Well, what was interesting that I thought was that Pentagon got 9 out of 20 eliminations in this match. That's insanity. Now after the match, of course, Antonio Cueto came out, much like his son, his deceased son used to do, and he said verbatim, he goes, "Now, my son probably would have put you in another match immediately, but I am not. But I am a much better promoter than my son. So next week, you will defend your title in a match even more violent than the one you survived tonight, when you take on my only son, what's his name?
The monster, Matanza Cueto!
Matanza Cueto. I couldn't remember how to pronounce his name.
Who is played by Jeff Cobb, the Guam Olympian.
Yeah.
So
next week, So next week on Lucha Underground, we're going to get another Lucha Underground Championship match. Pentagon Dark is going to defend his title against the monster Matanza Cueto.
Yeah, I thought this episode was great for a season opener. I mean, they came out of the gates with a cannonball. You know, Aztec Warfare is usually something built up in the middle of the season, but they started this off with a bang, and I'm excited to see what Lucha Underground Season 4 has in store for us. What did you think about the episode, John?
Well, as somebody who just recently got caught up with all the Lucha Underground stuff, I thought it was really cool and a really good. And yeah, I agree with you. It's a really good season opener. It's really cool. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
So, that was our review this week. Now we are going to talk. Finally, the Omega Cast has come back to WWE. This weekend, we have two big events. NXT Takeover Chicago 2 and Money in the Bank. We're going to go down each match, talk about the build to the match, and our predictions. I personally, especially regarding the Money in the Bank matches, I'm going to say who I want to win, who I think will win, and who I think would benefit the most from the win. John, if you want to do that, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. So, we'll go into NXT TakeOver. The first match we will discuss, the Undisputed Era of Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong are putting their belts on the line against Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. Who do you think's going to come out of this one victorious?
Honestly, I don't see much sense in taking the titles off of the Undisputed Era at this point, but I am a huge fan of the team of Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. But yeah, even though I love Danny and Oney, I'm going to have to go with Undisputed Era.
Yeah, the build-up to this match has been great. Everything that followed the Dusty Classic and the fallout between Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong, they've been really intermingling Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch with Pete Dunne and had a lot of different types of matches to build up to this takeover. Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan are on fire right now, but I just don't think they're going to, like you said, I just don't think they're going to take the titles off of Undisputed Era, especially this early. And as good as Oney and Danny are, they need some more time. I think that the whole idea of the Undisputed Era having a lot of the belts there is a good idea, and they need to keep running with it until they hit a roadblock. And I don't think Danny and Oney are the roadblock. The second match I want to talk about is Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream. And the build-up to this match has been absolutely fantastic. They've gone at each other on Twitter. Velveteen has been very savage on Twitter about Ricochet. We got a few weeks ago where Velveteen said, this match needs to happen in a bigger spotlight. It needs to happen in Chicago. And then Ricochet did the double flip, or the flip over the ropes, and landed on his feet in front of him. Said that, show me, whenever Velveteen Dream said anything Ricochet can do, the Dream can do better. I have such a weird feeling whenever he's referred to as the Dream, because there's only, to all of us wrestling fans forever, there will only be one Dream, and that's Dusty Rhodes. But no matter who wins this match, I think it has major potential to be match of the night. I'm going to go with Ricochet, only because I think Ricochet is going to stay in NXT longer. I think Velveteen, whether he gets any type of title in NXT or not, he's going to go to the main roster on their next call-ups because he's just too good.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. But honestly, I'm almost expecting... I'm kind of expecting a Velveteen Dream victory here, but it would make more sense for a Ricochet victory because of everything that's been happening with Velveteen Dream calling out Ricochet, saying that he can do it better, and Ricochet doing the show me thing. So maybe Velveteen Dream is finally going to show him that he can do it better, but maybe not. I definitely want one of those spots where they both go nuts and then stop and stare at each other and the crowd goes crazy. I love that shit. I love that. And, but yeah, I also think that this has potential to be match of the night. It definitely does.
So the next match I want to get into is the NXT Women's title, held by Shayna Baszler. This build has been very good. It started off with Shayna intimidating and bullying Dakota Kai. Then we got Nikki Cross kind of helping Dakota Kai overcome her fears, which Dakota still lost to Shayna. After that, Nikki came out, stole the title, said, "I'm not afraid of you. Let's go." She came in the ring. She pulled back the title. She gave it to Dakota. Told Dakota that she was the referee. Hit her with the swinging neck breaker. 1, 2, 3. Took the title away from Shayna, and that's how that episode ended. So I mean, and then this week we saw Shayna getting upset at people at the interviewer asking her about it. And she left the interview, and Nikki Cross is standing over a garbage can that's on that has the fire, and she's throwing stuff into it, and she keeps saying over and over like, "That's my title," and "I'm not afraid of you," and it's like Shayna is a badass, and everyone knows it, and everyone cares, except Nikki. Nikki's insane. And Nikki's been around NXT for a long time. She needs her just due. But Sanity got called up to the main roster. They still haven't debuted. So maybe Shayna wins. And after she wins, Nikki goes with Sanity, and Sanity finally debuts. But I would be sad because I love Nikki Cross. But I think in my gut that's what's going to happen. I think that's what's going to happen. Nikki's going to lose and debut with Sanity. How about you, John?
Well, I don't know who's going to win this one. I'd be satisfied with whoever picked up the victory, but my prediction for the match is that whoever wins, the decision is going to come via referee stoppage. I think that's what's going to happen in this match. I think it's going to be so off the chain that the referee's going to stop the match either in favor of Shayna or in favor of Nikki. And because Shayna is very violent, is legitimate, but at the same time, Nikki will not stop. She's insane. She won't stop. She can get punched in the mouth 20 times and come back. So, I don't know.
It is really up in the air.
As for the result, I'm gonna go with Nikki, because I think she deserves it. She's been there for so long. Give her the women's title, even if it's just till the next takeover.
Now, you know what's funny? How I said she would come back with sanity. I could also see if Nikki Cross won, Shayna going up and the whole getting with Rousey.
Yeah.
Because we know that the other 2 4 horsewomen have been signed to WWE. So who knows? You know, this could go either way. And the show, you know, whoever loses is probably going to get called up for some type of shenanigans with someone else. Right. You know. So the next match I want to talk about is the NXT title match, which is Lars Sullivan, the Freak, who has not been stopped, and Mr. Fade to Black, Aleister Black. This is this Aleister's first title? Whenever there's a go-home show and someone stands tall, that usually means at the big show they're going to lose. But Lars has made Aleister his bitch. But what's great is Aleister Black could probably adapt. What's going on? We there? Okay. So anyway, sorry, we cut out. Aleister can adapt. The main thing about being a great champion is being able to adapt to all different types of opponents. Lars charges, bam, Black Mass. He goes for the pin, kick out at 1, stands up, boom, Black Mass, it's over. I don't see Aleister Black losing the title this early unless they want to shoot him right to the main roster. But I don't think that's going to happen right now. I think Aleister's going to carry NXT for a little bit. Yeah. There has to be a way for Aleister to win and Lars to come out still looking good. So maybe we get interference from that guy we saw at the Greatest Royal Rumble. No. How do you feel, John?
Well, I'm gonna go with what you said about how Lars is making. Okay, so I'm gonna go with what you said about how you said that Lars is making Aleister his bitch twice in a row. And I'm going to have a rebuttal that it's just like how everybody makes Brock their bitch all the way up to the pay-per-view, and then Brock hits one F5 and wins. So I'm going to agree with you that if Lars gets hit with the Black Mass, he's done. If he gets hit in the head, I think he's done, is the thing. Because he's a big dude. What Aleister needs to do is go for the knees, go for the head. Take him down. Bring him down to your level.
That's what he did this week.
Yeah.
And Lars still
broke out of him. I think if you're thinking with logic, Lars wins. I think if you're thinking with logic, Lars wins everything ever. So yeah, I think Lars is going to take it. I think Lars is going to take it, but I hope that Aleister keeps it because I want Aleister to carry NXT for a while, like you said, JP. So the last match we're going to talk about with Takeover is, of course, the Chicago Street Fight between one Johnny Gargano and one Tommaso Ciampa. Now, this is another match that I could see the referee stopping. But I think that Johnny won their last showing. Johnny won the last match. So, if this is the end of the Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano feud, then I see Johnny winning. Like, definitely winning, and winning in a conclusion type fashion. If they're going to continue this feud, then Tommaso needs to win this match. So, I think definitively. That's my prediction. If this is the end of the feud, Johnny wins. If this is the continuation of the feud, Tommaso wins.
This is definitely going to be the end of the feud. Yep. And this is how it's going to end. The referee might not stop it, but Candice LeRae will. Johnny's going to go nuts and really take it out on Tommaso. And Candice, a lot like we see in Impact with Sammy and Eddie and his wife, instead of Gargano going full monster, we're going to see Candice come out, stop him, and he's just going to walk away. And their love will supersede his need for vengeance on Tommaso, and other things will be in store for both of them, whether it's in NXT, 205 Live, or the main roster. The only reason I think this is because the whole street fight thing, they showed him showing Johnny showing Candice, and Candice was like, a street fight? I thought we were done with this. You know, she's upset. So that's how I feel it's going to go. Tommaso's going to win because of DQ or whatever it is. Well, I mean, it's a street fight, so it's not DQ, but he's essentially going to win because Johnny's just going to walk away. And that's how I would do it. So that's it for our takeover talk and predictions. Here is we're going to get into Money in the Bank, and I'm going to throw it over to John.
So, Money in the Bank 2018. The first match that we're going to talk about with Money in the Bank is we've got... I want to do the Money in the Bank matches last. So, first thing we're going to talk about here, let's just start it off with the matches that don't really mean anything. Not that they don't mean anything, but they're not for anything. So let's start it off with what?
Nia Jackson, Rousey last.
Okay. So let's do Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn first. Now, what a sad tale we weave. Whenever I'm watching Monday Night Raw and Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn are on my screen, I get angry. Now, the reason that I get angry is because this is the stupidest, most ridiculous storyline that I have seen from WWE in a long, long time. Now, do we start with the drag queens that were Bobby Lashley's sisters? Do we start with Bobby Lashley's stories about the heinous abuse that he suffered at the hands of his sisters? Do we start with Sami Zayn acting like a complete fool when he doesn't need this at all? He's an amazing wrestler and needs to just be an amazing wrestler. Now, I like him being a cocky heel, but there's a very thin line between cocky heel and stupid moron. And he's acting like a stupid moron. And it's Vince's fault. Hands down. This storyline has Vince written all over it. That being said, I think Bobby Lashley is going to decimate Sami Zayn.
I couldn't have said it better, but I do have a couple of things.
Okay.
I think Sami Zayn's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
I think that this feud doesn't make sense because where did it come from? Why is it even happening? It doesn't make sense at all. Sami Zayn as this heel character is funny as hell, but the program is doing a disservice to both men. Bobby Lashley coming out as like, he doesn't know whether to laugh with you, laugh at you, or get mad. Well, you got to make a choice, and given your stature, you should be getting mad. You're huge. You got one of the best bodies in the WWE. You should be crushing this fool. Why am I sitting through these stupid ass segments? I wouldn't sit through it if I didn't have a podcast to do. You understand? That's the only reason I know about it. Is because these people on here want to hear about what I think, or maybe they don't. Maybe they just want to hear what John has to say. I don't know. But if it wasn't for this podcast, I sure as fuck wouldn't watch this garbage. I'm sorry, but Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley deserve better. Bobby Lashley had a great run in Impact, and WWE is shitting the bed all over both talents. Bobby Lashley's going to win, and no one's going to care.
Okay. Oh, wow. Dude, you just went off on Bobby Lashley and Sami Zayn. Okay.
I don't give a shit. I'm eating lunch.
Yeah.
It's not even their fault.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Okay. Let's talk about the match that's gonna be nap time for Joe and Boy. Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal. Is this bad that this is how we talk about WWE when we talk about New Japan the way we do?
You got to put both into perspective, and WWE has a lot of content every week, and New Japan doesn't. Yeah. New Japan is more like NXT, where they have time to flesh out storylines and put on good matches and everything. Yeah. Go ahead with what you were saying.
Okay. Loving shit out of that idiot Jinder Mahal. I am so freaking sick of Jinder. Like, he provides nothing to WWE. He's so boring. He's the big woman. Please, just kill him. Destroy him. Superman punch him into oblivion. Do it for me. Rome, want to happen?
Completely agree. I have nothing.
Yeah. Okay. All right, my phone does not like listening to this podcast for some reason. Okay, we're good. Okay. Now, so let's get into the other.
We'll go with Big Cass and Daniel Bryan. And I'll tell you this. Daniel Bryan came out with a very heated promo saying that Big Cass doesn't know how to wrestle and he's going to break his leg or whatever. And in the past two meetings, Daniel Bryan has won. It has been known that Cass went into business for himself whenever he kept beating up the small person he brought out a month ago or so. Ring with Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe. So maybe his time in the doghouse is up. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one go either way. And to be honest with you, I don't care. I think a win for Daniel Bryan doesn't do anything for him. I think a loss for Daniel Bryan doesn't do anything for him. They're booking him very weirdly on SmackDown. You think after the huge response of the return that he had, he would be shot straight up to the top and working with Nakamura and AJ like he was on his first match. But he's there to help the younger talent in Big Cass. I think maybe this time Big Cass gets the win, and hopefully both people move on from this feud, because I said earlier we need to this feud needs to be short.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think at this point we're gonna get the Big Cass victory, because it's been Daniel coming out over Big Cass and Big Cass coming out over Daniel, yelling at each other and all this crap. And I think I'd like Daniel to pick up the win here, but like you said, I think in order to have a culmination for the feud, Big Cass needs to finally get one over on Daniel. SmackDown Tag Team Championship match between the Bludgeon Brothers, defending against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Now, I think in this one, I don't really know much about what's going on between the Bludgeon Brothers and Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, because I wasn't able to catch SmackDown this week. But just looking at the match, I'd like the Bludgeon Brothers to keep the titles. So I think I'd like them to pick up the win on that one.
Basically, they had a match to see who would be number one contender. The Good Brothers beat the Usos. There hasn't been much of a build because the Bludgeon Brothers are very cryptic and they're kept away. On Twitter, Luke Harper said to Carl Anderson, "Are you going to be bringing your hot Asian wife to Money in the Bank?" And Carl Anderson said, "No, but we will be taking those titles, and everyone sees you and Rowan still as braised bitches." I think, bold prediction here, Bludgeon Brothers decimate the Good Brothers, and after her loss to Shayna Baszler, Nikki Cross jumps over. Everyone's like, who is this? Because she was never advertised as Sanity for SmackDown. It was always the men. And here comes Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, and Killian Dane to lay the smacketh down on the Bludgeon Brothers.
I like that. That's a good shout out. I like that. It's fun. It's time for Sanity to finally show up on SmackDown. Let's go with now. Is there not a Raw Tag Team title match?
Nope.
Wow. Huh. That's weird. Oh well.
It's supposed to be the Rotunda Boys against each other, but it's not on Money in the Bank.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. Alright, well, let's go with, well, we talked about a SmackDown, so let's talk about a Raw. Intercontinental Championship, we got Seth Rollins defending against Elias. Now, as somebody who knows Elias on a personal level, I want Elias to become Intercontinental Champion just because I think it would be pretty freaking cool.
I could. Seth Rollins is on a WWE career. I wouldn't say peak because it's not over, but like his career isn't over, but he is on a hell of a run. And if they don't decide to have him go against Lesnar and take the title, then he's keeping the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
It all depends on that. So if Seth Rollins loses the Intercontinental title, expect him to be the one at SummerSlam and not Roman Reigns. Or maybe Roman Reigns still gets it and Seth Rollins finds himself in a predicament where he could win the Money in the Bank briefcase. I don't know. All I'm saying is if Seth Rollins loses, he's going to get a WWE title opportunity. And honestly, I don't really care who wins because I like both guys, and I think it's going to be a good match. Yeah. And I think an Intercontinental title run for Elias would be great because he reminds me of all of the old school great Intercontinental title champions. He's a heel. He is a heel. He's never been a babyface. Honky Tonk Man, Mr. Perfect, all of those names that you associate with the Intercontinental title. When Shawn Michaels had it, he was a heel. The Miz, of course, like you said. So I think it would be fitting to have it on Elias. I just hope that if he does win, we see a Universal title on Seth Rollins because the guy is running on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said about Seth. He is possibly the best person Raw has right now. Let's do SmackDown Women's Championship match. Carmella defending against Asuka. Oh, Carmella, you've done it now. So, Asuka is obviously going to decimate Carmella, right? She has to. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Right. It's so obvious that Asuka will decimate her, and she will. But Carmella's old dog, woo woo. Okay. James Ellsworth is going to come in and save her. Yeah. So I'm picking Carmella. Yeah. You're picking Asuka?
Yeah. I guess just to be different. Yeah.
Okay. So then we'll talk about the men's Money in the Bank match. Only because the women's Money in the Bank match and Rousey and Nia, I got an idea. Also AJ. Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the men's Money in the Bank match. The four on Raw are Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Bobby Roode, and who else? Kevin Owens. Yeah. How could I forget? One of the best promos in the business. The guy's amazing. Against the SmackDown guys are someone from New Day. Someone from New Day. Rusev, Samoa Joe, and The Miz. I think the person who would benefit the most from getting this is Bobby Roode on the Raw side or the member of the New Day on the SmackDown side. I think they're not going to go with Xavier Woods. It's either time for them to finally put a belt on Kofi Kingston or they're going to give Big E a singles run. So it doesn't matter if it's Kofi or Big E. Either on the Raw side, Bobby Roode. I want to win is Bobby Roode because he needs something badly. He needs something badly. And this Money in the Bank thing could take his ego higher and he could turn heel with it. Who do I think is going to win? It's too obvious to be Braun Strowman. You actually have a title holder on a guy who wrestles every week on SmackDown. So I'm going The Miz.
I feel very similar in a lot of the ways that you said. But as for the New Day thing, I think the person going into the match is going to be Big E. Only because of all the rumors flying around for so long about the upcoming singles push that they've been talking about for Big E forever. I think you're correct in saying that Braun Strowman is too obvious. As for who I want to see win, or who I think should win, I'm going to have to go with Finn Balor. Because I think he would be an awesome Mr. Money in the Bank. And he's still, I think he's still, to me, is the uncrowned Universal Champion. So much more so than Roman, because Finn never lost the belt and has never received a shot for it since he came back after the shoulder injury. And I think that's bull crap.
I agree.
So yeah, I think I want Finn. I want Finn to win Money in the Bank.
Nice.
Now let's go. Do you want to do women's Money in the Bank or AJ and Shinsuke?
Either way.
Alright, let's do women's Money in the Bank. Now, the women's Money in the Bank, of course, representing Raw is going to be Ember Moon, Alexa Bliss, Natalya, and Sasha Banks. And representing SmackDown will be Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Lana. Now, for this one, women's Money in the Bank, I would like to see go to Ember Moon. Because she's really, she hasn't really done a whole heck of a lot on Raw since getting called up. And I think this would be a good, this would be a good stepping stone for Ember, I'll call it.
I'm going to answer this one just like I answered the other Money in the Bank match. I think that the people who would benefit the most from it would be Sasha Banks, Ember Moon, and Becky Lynch. I want Ember Moon or Becky Lynch to win. Yeah. But I think, and it's pointed out, like this whole storyline with Natalya and Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax. I don't think she's going to win the Money in the Bank. Because a lot of people think she's going to win and then cash in on her friend and turn heel. I think it's going to happen a different way. I think what we're going to see is maybe Charlotte. Probably Charlotte. And the reason I'm saying that is because Charlotte wins everything. She wasn't in the first women's Money in the Bank last year because she had the title. So she's going to win this one.
That's a good point. So we're going to move on from the two ladder matches to AJ Styles defending the WWE Championship against the Crusher of Nuts, Shinsuke Nakamura. The king of nutshot style. The, yeah.
The Tamer of Seamen.
The Tamer of Seamen. Okay. So this is going to be a last man standing match. To me, I've been waiting so long for Shinsuke Nakamura to become the WWE Champion that I can wait a little longer. I would like to see AJ keep the title at Money in the Bank. And what needs to happen is Shinsuke winning the WWE Championship has to be on a major stage. And the next major stage coming up is SummerSlam. So I think AJ should keep it at Money in the Bank.
But how do you keep the feud going?
I think it's easy to keep the feud going because AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura are really good at acting like they despise each other.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. We've gotten all these rematches because there's been probable reason that to continue. You know, if we have a definitive winner at Last Man Standing, that's the end of the. If Nakamura wins, AJ gets a rematch, and the feud continues. If Nakamura loses, Nakamura is not going to be in that position.
Right.
So I'm thinking Nakamura wins, and I love the build to this match. I love how Nakamura has come out of his shell in the ring and on the mic. I love the contract signing a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I just think that if you're going to have this many matches, let the guy win. You know. Do you still stand by your statement, though?
No. I think you made a very fair assessment. I think, yeah, I like what you had to say there, and what you said makes more sense. I think, well, like I said, I've been waiting for Shinsuke to win, so I think it's time for him to finally get gold around his waist.
Yep.
It's about damn time.
It's about damn time.
And, would he be the second man to hold both the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship?
Aside from AJ Styles.
Because did AJ hold the IWGP Heavyweight title?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so did Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. I'll tell you what would be cool. I'd like to see Shinsuke somehow become Intercontinental Champion, because then he would be the second man to hold the IWGP Intercontinental title and the WWE Intercontinental title.
Nakamura made that Intercontinental title in Japan mean something.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
yeah, I think Shinsuke wins. Let's go. Kick AJ in the nuts 100 times.
Oh, Nakamura!
Yeah, kick AJ in the nuts 100 times so he can't get up. So we're gonna move on.
So the last match we're going to talk about is a match that I think has been built very well and could possibly go on last because of the name value. Ronda Rousey is challenging Nia Jax. This all started when Nia Jax didn't have a challenger. Said, "Do you want an opportunity?" Ronda said, "Yeah." Everything seemed fine until Stephanie McMahon got in between them and started to light a fire under both of their asses. During this whole thing, it was shown that Natalya and Ronda had some type of training regimen together and that they're friends, and yay. But Natalya is friends with Nia too, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And at one point, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Nia Jax beat Natalya in a match, but Natalya hurt herself, hurt her leg. And they're in the back talking, and Ronda's telling her to get out of there, and Natalya said that's not her place to say or whatever. And Nia Jax says the most cliche thing that so many wrestling personalities say. This isn't ballet. If I hear this isn't ballet one more time, I might go get a tutu and some ballet shoes. You're driving me insane with this phrase. Stop it now. Anyway, I think it's going to be a good match because Rousey showed a lot of potential in WrestleMania, and Nia is coming along. I think that Natalya is going to be mad that she didn't win the Money in the Bank. Rousey's going to be in a situation where she can win, and Natalya is going to interfere and cause the DQ. And Nia is going to keep the title because, one, Ronda Rousey doesn't need the title to be somebody. She already is somebody. Two, why would Nia Jax lose it so quickly? I don't understand, but that's what I'm going with. How about you, John?
I think what you said is pretty fair. Nia needs to keep the title for a while because it took her so long to get it, and I like what she's doing right now. Now, what I would rather touch on is a lot of people are saying that, well, who is Ronda? How does she automatically get a title shot? And blah, 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 blah. She hasn't done anything. Now, what I want to say is none of the people that are saying this are even considering the fact that it was Nia who called out Ronda in the first place. Ronda didn't do anything to, like, jump over anybody. Nia called her out.
Also, to anyone who says that, who's Ronda Rousey? I'll tell you who she is. She's a UFC Hall of Famer. She's a bronze medalist in the Olympics. She put females on the map in mixed martial arts. So how dare you question who Ronda Rousey is? But yes, storyline-wise, they didn't give it to her. Nia Jax asked her to challenge her. So, suck it.
So there's Money in the Bank. There's Takeover. There's Lucha Underground. We're gonna finish off this episode with the big question. And the big question that Tim asked me this week.
Who is Tim? Who is... let me out, JP! Let me out! Let me out, JP! No, you stay down, you son of a bitch!
Well, that was weird. So... So the question that JP asked me this week is what my favorite Money in the Bank ladder match is. Of all time. And I'm going to go with 2014. The match that Seth Rollins won.
First off, no disrespect to your mother, but you're a son of a bitch. I picked the same one.
You picked the same one? Now, the reason that I picked the match that Seth Rollins won is because it led to what, in many people's opinions, and mine as well, it led to what saved WrestleMania 31 from being an abysmal dumpster fire that it was turning out to be.
Oh, WrestleMania 31 was pretty good.
I mean, it was, but... 31. It was... WrestleMania 31 was really good, but it just... You can't get away from the fact that Brock and Roman is a sleeper match every time. But yeah, so JP, I'm going to give it to you and give me your answer.
It's the same one. And it's a little bit... My reasoning is a little bit different from yours. We haven't seen a feud, a really hot feud, since Punk left, because Punk and Cena was super hot. But Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose of that year, and the continuing year or whatever, is just fantastic. Every time Dean and Seth get into a ring together, whether they're on each other's side or against each other, it is money. And at this Money in the Bank, people were soft earlier in the match. Rollins looked like he was going to win it. He was part of the Authority at the time. And then Dean Ambrose came out, and everybody popped. And Ambrose looked like he was going to get it. And then Kane came out to ruin everything. And Seth Rollins ended up becoming Mr. Money in the Bank. And unlike other previous successors to the Money in the Bank, he made that Money in the Bank really mean something. I just think, there's been great Money in the Banks. I mean, the old ones, like the ones that were at WrestleMania and everything, Shelton Benjamin spots, and, there's a lot of great Money in the Banks, but to me, that one meant the most because Seth and Dean is money, and at the time, that storyline was really driving WWE at the time. John, I'd say that's it for this episode. You want to say your goodbyes?
Yeah, well, but I will make one final point. If you're going to ask me what my favorite spot from any Money in the Bank ladder match is, it's going to be Kalisto with the Selena Del Sol off of the freaking top of the ladder. That was awesome. But I don't even remember. Was that no? That
When he dropped off and
No.
did the Hurricane Roll.
no. He was in a Money in the Bank match where he flipped over and hit somebody with a Slingshot saw off the top of the ladder. It was really sick. So we will give our goodbyes on this episode. You can find me, as always, on Twitter and Instagram, both at the handle jkearns91. You can find my boy JP on Twitter at the JP Whitman and on Instagram at j.p.whitman.
I don't know if they allowed the dots. I think it's just JP.
No, I think it's j.p.
Piss on it.
Anyway, but yeah, so that's it from me. I'm going to throw it over to JP for the official sign-off.
For all the new listeners, welcome. Thank you for listening. For everyone who usually tunes in, thank you. We appreciate your support wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or night. I wish you a great one, and peace and love to all of you. Been an experience unlike any other.
We'll do it better next week, I promise. Bye.